Hello everyone, Sai here with another Path of Exile 2 video. So you heard about Path of Exile 2 and you are really interested in trying out the early access, but then you saw this humongous passive skill tree and maybe you thought like, is this really the game for me? Maybe the passive tree is too complicated or whatever. I'm here to tell you that actually this is not the case. And the passive tree in its core, it's actually quite easy to navigate through if you are following the tips that I will gonna tell you very shortly. And yeah, basically if you want to do a basic build, Path of Exile 2 is not that complicated at all, and you don't need to follow a build guide or whatever. Trust me, you can figure this out all by yourself. It's not that bad. Okay, let's hop into the game. This is Path of Exile 1, of course. Nobody can play Path of Exile 2 at the moment. But in its core, the passive tree is still the same, although the details are vastly different. The basic concepts still apply. So when you get your first level, you will see this plus sign. I took this level 100 character and just unspec'd everything. Or you can press the key P to access the passive skill tree, and depending on which class you selected, you will start in various points of the skill tree, and you actually don't have to care about the size of the skill tree at the beginning too much, because for example as a witch you kinda only want to focus about this area in the skill tree, and maybe you will branch out a little bit here and a little bit here, but mostly you will focus on this aspect of the tree. And early on you can't actually make any mistakes. You can either go for damage first or for defensive nodes. In the Path of Exile 2 skill tree this will be the same. And in the first nodes just take generic damage or generic defense, like spell damage, and then you try out all kinds of different skills, spells, whatever, and at some point you will find a skill that you like. For example, let's say you like Fireball, and then you see the tags that are at the very top of the skill: projectile, spell, AoE, fire. And so the Fireball of course is a fire skill, and then what you can do is you can search for fire. So once you have a few levels, you can search for fire, and then everything in the tree will be highlighted that has fire in its name. So here, for example, Firewalker will give you increased fire damage and some resistances, and so on. And one other thing that is kind of important is that the very good nodes for a specific thing like fire or cold or bow attacks, whatever, in the outer sphere of this skill tree. So let's say you leveled a few times, you are here, then you took some defensive nodes, and now you decided, okay, I want to be a fire build with this character. So what you do, as I said, you put in the fire and then you see, okay, here's a good node. You look at all the nodes, here's some nodes, and here's also something, and here, okay, this is more like ignite. And then you decide, okay, I want to go to this wheel first, and then you see like, oh, how can I can go this way, take some mana here or some life here, and then travel through here, and then I get to this wheel. Or I could go this way, grab some fire nodes here on the way, and do the same thing. And that's basically how the skill tree works. Like, it's really not that complicated. You just travel there, and then maybe once you are, let's say you went this way, And every time that you level up and you are in a zone and maybe you find like, oh, my mana is not good enough. Okay, are there any mana nodes in my vicinity? Then I would just search for mana, and then I see, okay, here's some mana, here's some mana. Maybe I want to go branch here to fix some mana. And then maybe you also find yourself a little bit squishy, you die too often, then just grab some defensive nodes. In Path of Exile 2, of course, there will be no life, but there will be other kinds of defensive nodes like armor or something like this. Something like this, for example, will exist in Path of Exile 2. And then you just pick this, you just use the search function, and then you travel to the node you were planning to go to. And then maybe you discovered that block is a good thing to do defensive-wise. Maybe you like a shield. And to be fair, I think block will be very, very potent because there's no differentiation between attack and spell anymore, and you only have to cap your block chance once. So going for block for defensive measures I think is a good way, especially if you are in the top left side of the tree and even on the bottom left side. I think block is the way to go defensive wise. So yeah, I just searched again for block, and then I see like, here's something with block. Oh, this is like damage and block hybrid. Then here's something with block. Oh, let's see. Oh, this is with energy shield. Okay, and then I decide what I want to do, right? Maybe I want more damage. Maybe I want more defensive. And that's basically it. Then after I'm here, I would go maybe this way and go to here, and then if I need more damage, maybe I take more fire nodes. If I need more other defensive stuff, I would go for other defensive stuff. Maybe I need more mana regeneration, then I would go for mana nodes, and so on. So it's just like you level up, you face some problems, and you look if the skill tree can offer something to fix this problem. Another very good way to use the passive skill trees is like bandage nodes, I call them. And those are nodes that fix issues you really want to fix right away. For example, you have resistance issues. I'm not sure if you can fix resistance issues on the tree, but I think on the top left side there will be some resistance nodes. We will have to wait and see. In PoE1 I could always do this, and then I would just go for some resistance nodes. And once I fix these issues on my gear, for example, then I can just unspec those nodes again. Unspecking nodes will be very easy in Path of Exile 2 because you don't need regret orbs. Well, you can just use gold for respecking. So even early on, you can, if you change your mind about a tree progression, then you can just unspec it. For example, here, this would only take 2 nodes, and I would still have this notable, so maybe because I also want to travel here later, I decide to travel here and then don't take those 2 small damage nodes. This could be a way that you fix your tree while playing very easily. Or you have a lot of increased damage on other sides on the tree later, and then later on, like early on these nodes were really good, but maybe later on these nodes are not as good anymore, and then you can just take another path and then unspec those nodes. I'm out of refund points here, but yeah, you could just spend gold and get rid of this. This is actually just it. Just use the search function once you figured out what you want to do, and then you can navigate the tree very easily. It's not magic. Everybody that creates builds nowadays on YouTube or whatever started like this, and you will still be able to make a really, really good build. Maybe it won't be like the best build, but you will be able to finish the campaign no problem by using this method. Just look for the damage nodes that is your type of skill, and combine it with like defensive nodes. And I don't know the ratio, you kind of have to find out yourself. I play hardcore, so I take a lot of defensive nodes and only like the most efficient damage nodes on the tree. But on softcore, of course, you can be a little bit more offensive and just take the bare minimum of defensive nodes. Yeah, that's it. My final thing that I want to get through is one thing that every character, no matter what class you start with, will face as a problem is mana. If you are like a spell skill based character, then you want to go for like mana regeneration nodes. Stuff that increase your mana regeneration or gives you some flat mana regeneration. Those exist very early on in the skill tree. And if you are like an attack based character, then there will be mana leech nodes. Again, I can just search for it, and then you will do the same thing in Path of Exile 2, and then you go for some percent damage is leech as mana nodes, or some flat mana on hit nodes. Maybe those exist too, I don't know. And reduced mana cost of attacks. Try to get those points very early, because it will make the character progression through the acts way more pleasant to play. Yeah, and that is it, guys. I wanted to make this short video to kinda decrease the amount of fear you have for this skill tree. Just try it out. You really don't need a build guide to succeed in this game. It's easier than you think. Just try it out with these basic tips, and you will have a good time starting in early access. I'm very sure, guys. So please consider to like and subscribe this video if you like the content, and I will do a ton of more beginner friendly videos in the future. And yeah, that's it. Take care.